space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the USS Adequate. Our ongoing mission: to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable, to boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers worldwide. Welcome to another episode of Trekking Up North. I am, of course, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet Hog. I'm going to have to get a kazoo. It's Science Officer Synoiz! Round of applause.
It's the only way from one hand clapping is all that's needed. Or a slap. It's the same thing. But yeah, the kazoo is the only way to pronounce the name correctly with a human vocal cords, I think.
If I purchase a kazoo by next week, could that be considered culturally appropriate?
I like how we've talked about how we both need to be more sensible with spending, and you're like, but I need a kazoo. That's definitely sensible purchase that I can justify.
Listen, it's better than the copious amounts of drugs and alcohol that I normally use. By drugs, I mean Lemsip.
How drugged up are you at the moment? Because you've got a cold this week, so are you literally just like...
I have the man flu, everybody, and I have... You can tell we're British because when you are ill, you have Lucozade, and then you also have max strength cold and flu, and then you have the Albus nasal stick thing that you shove up your nostrils so you're able to actually breathe. I've been a tissue walrus for most of the week. But no, I am so drugged up, and I decided I could not be arsed with any costume. So I thought the closest thing to a Starfleet Academy hoodie is my Primani one with a com badge on it.
I like it. I quite like it.
Thank you.
It suits the episode because I was just like, £8. Oh,
£8.
That's a bargain. Oh, we love a bargain.
Don't we just. My monitor has moved. There we go.
After all the faff we had,
after all the adjustments,
because I'm like Captain Aki, just being like, what? Well, how am I meant to be sitting? What's going on?
Next week he's just going to be upside down. We're just going to see 2 kneecaps. That's all we're going to see.
They'll be gorgeous kneecaps, though.
What?
What do you believe? Oh,
I've seen his kneecaps, and let me tell you,
the comments. Believe the comments.
Do they bend the wrong way? He's like
nothing about me bends the right way. I think that's
he's like a sexy ostrich. It's unbelievable. But before we get into this week's,
What are we doing? What is this? You're like a sexy ostrich.
You are.
Tell me more, Father.
You are. When you see him at STLV and he comes in with his...
You've actually gone mute. I actually can't hear you.
Have I gone mute?
I can hear you now. No, I can hear you now. You went silent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
That's definitely not my fault. Before we get into this week's episode, though, we have to go to our new spanking new... See, this is like Star Trek Generations. I had loads of things set up for last week's premiere, and then everything could not be fixed until Tuesday. So... Computer, take us to our brand new sponsorship screen.
Look
at this.
Logo. Look
at that. Oh, branding.
It's like a bit in American Psycho where they're talking about the car. They'll be like, it's got a velvety finish. Ooh.
Brand recognition, everybody. Our first sponsor.
Cut your thumb on that.
Our first sponsor is, of course, Caitlin Scott's magnificent collection of poems, Packing My Records for Mars. Get your hands
off my penis.
Get your hands off my poems, my succulent northern poems.
I'm pretty sure this is exactly how they imagined this, their book being advertised. They're like, yes, I do want it associated with that meme, yes.
Money well spent. Let's... You have...
Should I read it out?
I think you should do it dramatically.
Okay, cool. Dramatically, right? Dramatically, okay. In Yorkshire. No, I made you do it in Yorkshire, didn't I? Okay.
Yeah, well, I think you should do it properly.
Okay. I can do this, okay. What lies in wait at the end of the world? Inspired by Star Trek, Red Dwarf, and films such as Blade Runner and 2001: A Space Odyssey. Packing my records... You've got me saying it now. Packing my records for Mars is an abstract, hopeful, bittersweet depiction of a displaced reality at the end of Earth. Kaylin Scott uses poetry to tell a compelling story about one family facing uncertainty and horrors usually consigned to science fiction. In the words of Ed, a guilt-ridden father who journals his adventures. My daughter thinks there should be journals to read at the end of the world, a written record for Earth's wanderers. The thing is, I can't quite remember the moment we went from being perfectly comfortable to fuck, where's that lava I was so worried about as a kid? Pain has made my memory piecemeal, frozen like a photograph. I think you should go and buy it because it's got like pages in it. Well, if it's a physical book, it has pages in.
It's got
if
a boot
it doesn't,
link.
then it's like pages on the screen which you can envision in your mind.
You could have an e-reader.
You could have a mental paper cut if you just rub your hand on the side of the screen.
You can have an e-reader, which is like an electric book, and you look at it. It's called e-reader because you go e-reading, don't we? E-reader. But we could, you could have that,
Please
or you could
keep
have
sponsoring us.
Or you could have a paperback. So if you're gone down on the description below,
Gone down the description,
right? Just after you've watched Cheap Ass Creepers on your scooter, you can go down to the description below, and you can purchase one from Amazon. Purchase one from Amazon. There's like 50.
I think all of our American viewers have literally just put the closed captions on the video, being like, "Can Google translate this?"
I feel we need a sign language person in the like on ITV at 3 a.m, just in the corner, just sat there going.
Yeah,
I just like no idea or anything like that. But you can go down and purchase it on Amazon, and there's like 50 warehouses around the northeast of England. Warehouses. So one of them will have it stocked. You can probably get it thrown through your window at 2 a.m. It's a fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I've sellotaped it to a drone. Through it through your window.
Some say drone, I say pigeon. But you know. Some people think they're the same.
Drone is American. Over here, we're still using pigeons for Amazon deliveries.
Because we are refined.
How did you manage to bring that TV over here? And
we're cultured.
Just like,
yeah.
I piss in a bottle.
Could I have water, please? I haven't had a break in 3 years. Oh, that's me never working on Amazon. Our next sponsor is obviously the deliciously southern Tasmanian devil, Isaac from Trek 365, who spent 365 days last year covering all various Star Trek episodes, and now he's doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, 1 minute at a time, as well as doing some fabulously deranged Star Trek stuff. I highly recommend it. Link down in the description below. But now, to be selfish.
Yep. Oh no! It looks rubbish. It's look at that.
This
that man
Saturday.
Is in a dress.
You leave Jess alone. This Saturday, the 24th of my God, it's been 17 years this month. The 24th of January, this Saturday, in Sunderland's Geek Retreat / Laser Quest / boutique burger place. The best burger place in Sunderland.
Stop rubbing it in. I still haven't had one. I'm literally
I will rub it into you.
I'm like, I can't have a burger.
I will rub it into you.
A child.
I will ensure that you get beef curtains rubbed into you, and then you will have something to eat. This Saturday, it is the Nerdy Up North quiz. It is the dead easy quiz because it's January and we don't want anything hard. That's what my doctor always says to me.
Speak for yourself, but...
Go ahead, finish the thought.
No, I won't, because YouTube, the guy at YouTube's already sort of going, do I stop it? Tell me to stop it. But
you will stop when I tell you to stop. No, you will stop when I tell you to stop, darling. Keep going. But it's
But yeah,
yeah, go
it
on.
will be absolutely wonderful. We are raising money for Pause for Thought, which is a local animal where I can't speak today. Animal welfare charity based
Mammal
in the northeast of
awareness.
England. Manimal
Manimal.
awareness.
Manimal. It's those feral people from Roker that we
Yeah, for just 10
donated.
quid a month, we'll buy him a Domino's and
For
some
just £2
cider.
a month, you can get him a Sunderland FC t-shirt to cover up his
Yeah.
gigantic nipples.
And we'll pay for someone to take him over that fancy new bridge to the stadium.
I've been over that bridge. It's
£4 more, we'll
fantastic.
throw him over it. But
Why build a new bridge to go to Sunderland?
it's almost like we're instinctively putting off talking about this episode of Starfleet Academy or something.
Oh,
But yes,
please.
if
But
you're
yes,
around tomorrow when this episode airs, come to the quiz. If not, then join us on Facebook and whatnot, where you will get all the updates for the Nerdy Up North quiz, which is very exciting, I think.
link is obviously in the post there. But without further ado, we are here to review Vitus Reflux. Is it Vitus or Vitus?
Vitus, I think it is.
Vitus. I'm your Vitus. I'm your fire. Your
No, I'm your
design.
reflux.
Oh, that's what
I've
Rennies are
often
for.
been called that. I've also often been the cause of reflux, I think.
Do you give acid reflux?
Depends how deep they go.
Yeah. So, we are here to review Vitus Reflux, Season 1, Episode 3 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. This is a shenanigan episode.
Shenanigan episode.
Shenanigan episode. There are a few revelations that we find out through this episode, namely that Laura Thock has a love interest, and she is
Laura Thock is a lesbian.
I feel
Lesbian.
she's a
That's Golden
lesbian.
Girls quote for
She's a
anyone.
lesbian, if you're a Friends reference.
A lesbian.
A lesbian. I feel Laura Thock would have been much better if the Jem'Hadar was from Yorkshire. I feel it would have enhanced the character immensely, where it's like, hey, you promised me turducken,
Turducken.
but now I'm going to have Klingon French fusion. I think
I'm
that
sorry,
would have...
but can you think of anything worse than Klingon French? I was like trying to think of my least appetizing cuisine in the entire world, and I think it might be that. Like, yeah,
Birmingham French fusion?
What's the main food in Birmingham?
French.
Like, dust and knits. Is that?
Dust and knits.
Absolutely.
All we are is just dust and knits.
See, you've gone and made it poetic while I was trying to make insult.
Oh, close my eyes.
All we are is dust and knits in the wind.
It is. We've struggled with this episode. I think me and you can agree with that, because we were trying to sort of get to grips with what is the message in this episode? What is the theme of this episode? And I said to you, it's a theme. Like one of the things I took away is learning to resolve differences without combat. Which is the Starfleet way, which is a way that we have seen since the original series, learning to try and peacefully resolve differences with two parties, two rivals. But it kind of contradicts that in a way.
I'm going
as
to be
well.
honest, okay? Like, there's two separate things, okay? First, I did enjoy this episode. Like, I
Yes.
didn't enjoy it as much as episode 2. I found it a nice watch, but there was a lot of bits in it where you're like, that's a bit tacky. You know, like, there's bits of it where you're just like, I get, maybe I'm not the target audience here, but I think that's very cringe kind of thing. But I enjoyed it overall. Like, it wasn't bad writing. It was just like we're going for this kind of demographic. Well, actually, no, there is bad writing in it, but
Yeah.
but yeah, the messaging is very confusing because you're just like, oh, it's because it kind of gives the message of, oh, rise above it and be better than them. Like,
Yeah.
don't let someone else define your terms of going, hey, these people are like being aggressive towards you. Well, don't beat them at their own game. Like, don't sort of go against them, sort of rise above it and be better. And then it kind of throws it all under the bus and kind of goes, actually, just be better at what they do. Like, just like crank
Yeah.
them better. And it's weird because it's kind of, and it kind of suggests like, oh yeah, it does it that way because, the person telling them to rise up and be above it is Captain Aki, who's their chancellor. Well, is it Chancellor Aki
She
or
is
Captain
Chancellor
Chancellor
Aki.
Aki? Chancellor Aki saying, "Hey, rise above it and be better." And yet at the end of the episode, she's like, "Yay, we got them better than they got us." And it's like, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what
Yeah.
the message is. It was an enjoyable romp, but yeah.
It was quintessentially one of those 70s, 80s college prank films
Yeah.
where you've got two rival houses. This is all this is. It was a romp. I would say it was a romp. We got a little bit of character development with our main cast and some of the minor casts as well. We didn't see the Doctor this week.
Yeah.
But we did get a lot of Jet Reno, Tig Notaro's character, which I
like.
am happy. Yes. Yep, go on.
Because I will say, I'm sorry, but like after last week's episode, when we were talking about the first two episodes and stuff, a lot of people messaged me, having watched it, being like, "Oh, I loved her. Like, I love her. What's her name? Laura Thok. I love
Yeah.
the Jem'Hadar Klingon character." And they're like, "Oh no, she was my favorite character because she was so funny, because she's so loud and she's so bossy and stuff." And I was like, "That's so weird that they've seen the
Yeah.
exact same thing as me and gone like, I like that." And I'm like, I hate it. Like, and I hated her in this episode. Like to the point where I'm actually kind of like, oh no, Reno, why? Like,
Can
couldn't you have
we-
picked better, Reno?
Can
Like,
we call-
because Reno's really good in this episode, and the idea that they're in a relationship, I find it cute, but at the same time, I'm just like going like, so you went for the bossy bitch, right?
Can we call her Space Dr. Cox?
Maybe.
I'm
But that is
getting
longer
that
than just
feeling.
using her name.
Space Cox. No, actually, no, forget it. But
Yeah.
we
Probably not the best term for a lesbian relationship.
But that was a good revelation. That was a good revelation. And hopefully we do see a lot more of Reno going forward. But
Well, I hope she's used better than she is in Discovery. But I will
God.
disagree with you, though. I don't think it was a good revelation. It was a revelation for a later episode. I
All
think
right.
they could have indicated it in this one, where they literally have Reno talking about how she compromises for relationships or something like that. But it didn't necessarily need to have Laura Thok come in and be like, "Hello, I'm a lesbian. We're going out." And this is, it felt, I'm gonna, because a lot of the criticism this show is getting is that it's a bit too, oh, we're not going to use
We've
the
had the
W word 'cause
criticism.
it's bullshit. But it's this
We've
idea
had
of
the
going,
criticism, yeah.
and this was very heavy-handed because the difference between good writing and virtue signaling and stuff is how you handle it, how you do it. Where you can have a gay character in something, but you just don't make the fact they're gay their entire thing.
Yeah.
Like it's that you subtly introduce it and you subtly do it, and people don't have a problem with it. The idea of anything having a gay character or a lesbian character is fine, but it's the idea of going, hey, But I liked it, but I can see that a lot of people will probably see that and be like, oh, it's fucking virtue signaling and it's like heavy-handed and stuff.
Yeah, we're probably going to get a lot more comments like we did last week. Side note,
Hey,
thank you.
keep them going.
Thank you so much for those so-called fans abusing us all this week, because down to you have given us the highest rated episode of Trekking Up North ever. So, thank you.
It's really interesting though, like just to cover the thing at the moment, like obviously we changed our tune after seeing the first two episodes and we're like going, hey, it's not the best Trek show in the world, but it's definitely a 6 or 7 out of 10, like
It's better than what we expected.
yeah, it's far better than we expected. And I'm like, hey, it's enjoyable. I can happily watch this. Like, it's not outwardly bad in terms of going, I want to turn it like I
It
haven't
has
stopped
room
it
for
to make a cup of
improvement.
tea like I had to do
Yeah.
during Section 31 and during most of
The
Discovery.
thing is,
Most
it's
of
like
Discovery gave me diabetes. The amount of cups of tea I
it's
made during it.
diabetes. The thing is, every Star Trek
Yeah,
has had those teething moments, most of which were in the earlier episodes. Next Generation had a diabolical first season. DS9 had a few bad episodes. Voyager had a few bad episodes. Enterprise had a few bad episodes. It is a trend.
I still
You,
stand by Caretaker as my least favorite
yeah,
introduction,
you
even though I
need
said it was MSRE.
emissary. Yeah, but it a show needs to find its feet, and for people to come in and make a wild cemented judgment based on the two episodes without going, well, let's give the season a chance, let's see
Well,
where it goes.
the amount of criticism I've seen today, especially on the internet, because Facebook goes, "Hey, here's loads of random stuff," rather than your actual friends' posts, which is weird. But it was showing me loads of stuff about people complaining and people getting angry about how Chancellor Aki sits in their chair, like the
Yeah.
fact that they laze around, and I'm like, tell me you haven't watched the show without saying you haven't watched the show. Like it's kind of there. It's like it's the whole Lanfanite thing, and we were talking about how interesting that is. Like, and we get a lot of it in this episode, where it's the idea of because we in this episode we kind of go, oh, she's a Lanthanite, therefore she's really sort of selective about what rules she follows, and she's very much about comfort and very sort of like, hey, let's do the best thing. And this episode challenges it, but then kind of shows that it pays off. It's interesting, like because what we have in this episode is her kind of coming across as being so lax that people don't respect her. But then
the
behind the scenes, she's actually fully controlling it, and that it's all intended to direct them in a particular way.
but she's also being quinted. Well, I mean, she's a teacher of
Yeah.
children. She hits the reason why she is like she is because she is pro kid shit, because
Yeah.
the kids that they have got, these cadets, they all grew up within the burn. They grew up having hardship, strife. She says, some of these kids arrived in cargo holds, in they have had so much difficulty in their life. To see them doing what they should be doing, kid shit, pranks and stuff like that, she's all for it. But I think it's a lesson for her along the way where they can do the kid shit, but there's also a teachable moment for them to instill the values of the Federation and Starfleet, where you can do the kid shit, but you can also resolve stuff peacefully and amicably and think outside of the box and learn to understand and appreciate your rival, your enemy, understand them, respect them, but find a way to not beat them in overwhelming combat or anything like that. Just be smart
Well,
about how you deal with them.
well, that's it. I mean, we also in this episode we get to see her kind of weaponizing a little bit because we get what's the other chancellor called? The
Kelrick.
Kelrek. Sorry, I wrote it down
Yeah.
as Kelrek.
It is very all over the place, the episode. So, guys, if you're watching this and the messaging it does zigzag quite a lot.
It's a messy, like it's the sort of thing of it's basically an enjoyable episode. It's an enjoyable romp, but it's the idea of going, why is this here? Why is this here? Did you want to make this instead? But I like that with her where she goes to meet Chancellor Kelrek to go, hey, we're having these differences. We've got fights going out between these warring schools. We need to, work something out between us. And because he is so sort of stuck up, like he's very much sort of like rigid.
He has a
and,
tea fetish.
yeah, he has a tea fetish. He's obsessed with everything being just right and correct, and he's very militaristic. And the fact that she isn't, and she hams it up where she's deliberately lazing around to piss him off. Like she's doing this whole thing where she's rolling around on the thing, she's refusing to drink the tea the way that he says to do it and stuff. You realize that like her being like this and not sitting on the chair properly and all of these things that are making people complain about the episode is specifically what that character is about. That character is like going, hey, we get the job done, but let's not make it about the sort of details. But also she knows that it'll wind certain people up if she's very lax with the rules. I mean, you know, and I like it. You know, I like it now that I get that about the character. But it's so weird that so many people are like just focusing on it. Like, there's so many people who are like, well, Kirk was the best captain. I'm like, okay, so not listening to any of your opinions for the rest of the conversation, but yeah.
But the problem is, like, she's not hamming it up, but Holly Hunter is playing what we come to expect from a Lanthanite. Like, the only other Lanthanite we have had is Carol Keynes, which is Pelia, who is 4,000 years old at the point of Strange New Worlds, where in the grand scheme of things, Holly Hunter's character, Aki, is only 422, something like that. She is fairly young when it comes to a Lanthanite, but she's also very much aware that unlike humans, shall we say, who have a finite existence and, you know, we have to be this way, we have to do this and do, you know, and we show respect and authorities. She's got all the time in the world. She has got all that. She doesn't, you know, and it sort of plays into the fact that, like, hey, if these Lanthanites are here and they're thousands of years old, why aren't they the ones running Starfleet? Why aren't they all massive vice fleet admirals, rear admirals, presidents and stuff? Because they learn, and I made the comparison to an alien race in Mass Effect who also last thousands of years, or 1,000 years. They learn that life is not a rush to get to where you want to go, and you can embrace experiences, embrace other cultures, learn about other cultures, learn values, and use that to your advantage and build this very wise philosophy about life for yourself. And this is what we see Aki doing, but also still learning along the way. So she's been around humans for hundreds and hundreds of years, but she is still learning. She is still, you know, with the War College, she's learning that, yeah, her method, you know, the method is we have to teach them about how Starfleet used to be, but these also need to be kids because there's been 120 years of the burn and strife and poverty and piracy. So she's aware that these need to be kids, but also the rivalry needs to be put into control and put in check. But she's also doing the rivalry, and it's very all over the place. Yeah. But for Aki and her character, she's got a very... I think it's a perfect role for a Lanthanite to be a chancellor of kids, to impart
that's what it says. There's a scene between her and Laura about Laura being sort of like, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you being so... You need to beat these kids into shape. You need to get them following the rules and stuff like that. And she does, and Aki's response is basically, but they're kids. You know, like, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm good with going, hey, these are kids, they need to breathe, they need to have fun and stuff like that, rather than what the other guy is like, where he's like, you know, a bit of a sort of militaristic dickhead, and the fact that it doesn't seem to be helping the kids.
Like, I also drew a lot of comparisons in this episode from the burn to the 2020 pandemic, where we did have a generation of people who essentially, and I know it was only for a year or two, but essentially had their youth stolen from them, had those experiences that many of us have, around about 16, 17, of leaving a structured establishment and then finding out what you want to do, enjoying your newfound freedom, learning and maturing emotionally and developing these bonds and having fun. And for a lot of these people, they didn't have that. They had 2 years where everything was remote. They couldn't go get a job. They couldn't go get a temporary job. They couldn't enjoy time with their friends or anything like that. So in a very pivotal point in a person's life where, you know, you're 16, 17, your emotional development is still ongoing.
Yeah.
It was very much restricted. And I saw the comparison between what Aki was saying about the burn and the kids wanting them to be kids to that, where it's like, yeah, I want them to do it now because they never had it back then. They never had that chance. They never had those opportunities. And I want them to have those opportunities as well.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it's someone who's old enough to remember before the burn. Like they're, you know, they're old enough to kind of go, oh, actually, you know, it is interesting. And like, I think that's the main takeaway with Starfleet Academy. There's loads of great ideas being proposed with it. Whether it nails it is a different question, but it's the fact of we can still discuss it and go, hey, these are the themes it's raising, and how do we feel about them, and what, you know, what can we say about them? And that's it. That's what Star Trek is. Star Trek is making discussions, whether that's like, you know, what is a man through things like Measure of a Man, whether it's about sort of what is justice through things like, what's my favorite again?
Ad Astra. No, the Drumhead.
The Drumhead. And Ad Astra is a great example. Ad Astra per Aspera. And, you know, all of these different things where we go like, you know, like even morality, like from What Are Little Girls Made from the from the original series, like this idea of all these things, and they give us discussion points for us to talk about, and that's what it's about. It's not explosions in space, it's not laser battles and stuff, but we will say the main theme of this episode is that there is a rivalry between Starfleet Academy and the War College, which, why is it directly next door? Like,
so essentially,
is there a reason?
So essentially, when the burn happened, Starfleet Academy was more or less, it was more or less disbanded.
No, but why is it directly next to the college?
Because
like,
the War College, War College is using the same, is using essentially where Starfleet Academy and Command used to be. The campus was most of the campus was scuttered. They've rebuilt the campus. So if you look at the intro, that's them rebuilding Starfleet Command, Starfleet headquarters, because for 120 plus years, Starfleet Command was the massive Federation space station that we see in Discovery. So it never really had a centralized land-based command center. So
hang on. So during the burn, they made the base of operations a ship.
They made it a starbase.
Doesn't that actually seem like?
No, because I don't know what the thing is, but it was one that never had dilithium. Blah 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 blah. But it's so to reopen Starfleet Academy, they moved the academy to San Francisco. They've still got the Federation, the Starfleet command base in orbit, but it was everyone who went through it. So essentially, they became a war college because Starfleet shifted their focus from science and exploration to defense.
Oh, I get all this, but it's not the question I asked. Like,
no, but they used that campus. They used that campus.
So basically, where Starfleet Academy used to be, they took it over with the War College. And now that they've started up the academy again, they've split the space between the two of them. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because I don't feel like that was explained anywhere.
That is why
said, there's a War College, and I'm like, why is it next door?
That is why the USS Athena is part of the academy campus, because it sort of extends and becomes that campus, like a mobile campus.
Yeah.
Because obviously, essentially they're both in competition. So the main gist is of Starfleet Academy. This is activating the academy. There's still the War College, but there's a lot of eyes on the academy because which one is going to fare better? Which one do we keep? Do we keep the War College or do we keep the academy? What is better? Who will who will produce
Okay,
the best
so they're
candidates.
they're sharing the ground between them. It's like, but it's really bizarre that they would put two schools right next to each other. But it makes
very
sense
bizarre.
if in the future they can't be bothered to build another building. You know,
It's
like,
very
what a
bizarre how
crazy idea that is.
It is very bizarre how they've done it, and they haven't
I
really.
know they've done it because they want this rivalry. They go,
Yeah,
well, they
plot
need to be
convenience.
next door for us to be able to. And I think that's something that we see dramatically throughout this episode. So many plot conveniences of, oh, isn't it handy that happened? And you know that I hate them. You know that I despise them of going, why is this character doing this? Oh, because this plot point needs to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
But
it would make sense. It would make sense if they were like, hey, the Athena is Starfleet Academy. But we are trying to rebuild the campus in San Francisco. But whilst we rebuild, we share it with the War College, and that's where the tensions and the rivalry, because the War College is 120 years old. They're established. They're like, these new, they don't realize that Starfleet needs to be the defensive arm, the strong arm of the Federation, and where Starfleet Academy is like, we can do that, and also we can do exploration, and we can do science, and we can do diplomacy and stuff. Yeah. We can train them all. So, it would make sense if they did that. But again, we're going into a rabbit hole of stuff that we would assume would be in a Star Trek episode to make sense.
Exactly. But but either way, the plot of the episode is that they're in this rivalry with this college that's coincidentally right next door. Everyone from the War College are comedically dickheads,
they're all
like
douches.
But you know that thing where you're just sitting there being like, and I was disappointed with it because I was like really hoping that the Kyle character that it introduces might be different. Like it's the idea of it's just those other three who are dickheads. Other two? No, I think it's three. Those other three that are dickheads. And then he's like going, hey, actually, we have some nice people here, but we haven't seen it. And it's one of those shows where you're just like, oh, it's the rival college, and everyone is a dickhead there, and why would you have a college like that? That's not how anything works.
What are the issues?
For the plot.
What are the issues that this episode has highlighted more than the other two episodes? Is and Rick Berman referenced this, and Brandon Braga references. It's the use of contemporary language in the setting of 3191. Yeah,
one of the notes I got is that basically one of them swears. Like they do the whole fingers up, the sort of, they do that, and you're just like going like, and you're just like, they wouldn't have that. The same as the sign language in the last episode, there would be different variants. This is thousands of years into the... this is thousands of years into the future. There would be different structures of language. And
this is
she is what is her race? Is she's not Romulan, is she? She's
is Vulcan Romulan.
Is she Romulan? Vulcan
Navarre. Navarran.
Vulcan Romulan.
Yeah, because in Discovery, the Romulans and the Vulcans within the 800 years have reconciled their differences, and Romulans found their home again back on Vulcan. So after hundreds of years
of have ridges.
Because some Romulans have ridges.
Do they?
Yeah, some Romulans have ridges. They have cranial ridges.
I'm a terrible Star Trek fan, but it might be because someone was talking to me about Discovery the other day, and I've literally got a mental blank for most of it, of being like, that episode meant so little to me that I genuinely cannot remember it.
But this is the thing, right? The use of contemporary language in 1 and 2 of Discovery, 1 to 3 of Strange New Worlds, maybe in Lower Decks, can be forgiven. But the reason why a use of contemporary language was so frowned upon in original series and Golden Era Star Trek is because it distances the characters from the time period that they are in. So it doesn't age the show poorly. And what we are finding is they've sort of made it worse by going, hey, this is 1,000 years into the future, yet they still speak that it like it's the 2020s. And this is what the Berman era did so well. They would use it in the context of time travel or something like that, but they would really go through the script and make sure that the use of contemporary language was kept to an absolute minimum.
Yeah.
Whereas this, 1,000 years into the future, and this was really, it came to bear in season 3 of Discovery and has just stuck around ever since. It's 1,000 years into the future. Why do we have to have contemporary language, such as what we douchebag?
Well, remember me
asshole.
getting annoyed. Remember me getting annoyed about Strange New World season 3 because we kept having characters mentioning God or being like, "Oh God" and stuff, and you're like, "What? We haven't had that in Trek. Like that's something that gets factored out because these races do not believe in these things and stuff. You know, like or they have different ways of expressing things. It's the joy of sci-fi is being able to be like, hey." We can make up our own things. We can have our own insults. You just need to call them out. You just need to be like you know.
But
like,
we had that in Golden Era Star Trek, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly
You
it.
absolute
So the idea
tag, your patak, and stuff like that.
And that's how you get away with swearing without swearing, but also the idea of if they are going to do a hand gesture that's meant to be offensive, make up a new one and have a character react to it being like, oh my word, you know, or like, you know, it's like or an instructor being like, well, she's going to get punished for that one or something, and insinuate, oh yeah, that must have been an offensive gesture, rather than, like you're saying, taking something in modern day. It's lazy. It's lazy, and it suggests that they don't have an imagination, and
it's lazy.
That annoys me.
It's lazy, but it's also them desperately trying to attract the younger audience by having the use of contemporary language, where you don't have to have it there. And you had this is the thing.
If you need to cater for a particular audience, then you're not making the same show.
But we had barely any contemporary language used in the golden era of Star Trek, and the people watching it were kids, were teenagers, were young adults. Every spectrum was watching it, and it attracted them in because it was good writing. It's lazy, but it also cheapens and ruins the illusion that this is like, oh, this is 3191. Yeah. It's 1,000 years into the future. Things would be different. You know, there would be different sayings. They don't do it. All it would take is for someone to just create new physical insults, new verbal insults, use something from another race, call someone a Bajoran Jomjot or something. Yeah, but do you see how easy it is?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, and it's exactly that, and it's the idea of, or if you like what we've had previously when we've referenced old stuff or old references, it's made a point of it, of going, oh, that's an old one. Like, you know, like the idea of people referring to, oh, that's a 20th century sort of idiom kind of thing, or, oh, you know, this song is from this period, and yet this doesn't. This just kind of goes like, hey, that's a song that everyone listens to.
Everyone's got to know about everyone's got to know about a 12-year-old record from the 1930s. Everyone's got to do, and it's like even in the first episode of Starfleet Academy where Ake goes to oh god, what's the villain's name? Paul Giamatti's character.
Where she goes,
Nosbraka, you know, about the warp core to get more bang for your buck, or she mentioned dollar. She mentioned dollar. And
dollars haven't existed for 1,000 years.
Dollars haven't existed since, like, I mean, according
She's
to like
only
canon,
400 technically, you know.
According to canon, they hadn't existed for 1,000 years. So it's like, why would you use 1,000-year-old idiom like that? Why would he mention
origami when there's probably better stuff now? Like there's probably sort of.
But this is what's infuriating.
Equivalent of, well, not Klingon, Vulcan.
This is what's infuriating.
Lazy writing.
Sam in the first episode uses French, and then Genesis says, "I'm also fond of dead languages."
Yeah.
So.
That is
again
great.
very much like
that.
But very much like this episode, they lean into this is 1,000 years into the future, no one speaks French anymore, to then using 1,000-year-old insults that no one would freaking get. And I'm like, why would a Romulan do it? Why would a Romulan know that? Why would they act like a human? Why would a Betazoid's brother be like, oh yes, spot me, bruh?
Oh god. Actually,
Why?
let's move on to the next bit.
Yes.
He can fuck off. Like I don't have a clue what the character's called. I hate him. No, I don't hate him, but I just think he's totally unnecessary, and I don't get what purpose serves other than being an annoyance. Like they in this. Sorry, we're assuming everyone has seen the episode. We're not going to give a proper blow by blow breakdown because we'll be here forever. But basically, they're playing this game called it's called Calica, where
Calico.
the episode kind of dresses it as a sport and goes, hey, it's like volleyball or something, or
It's
it's like
capture the flag.
dodgeball.
Yeah.
But then effectively when they start playing it, it's like, oh, it's just war simulation. Then it's capture the flag, but you have guns and you're in a battle situation and there's explosions for some reason, even though no one gets hurt. It's very odd, it's very silly and very dramatic, but it's effectively it's played up like a sport, but it's actually just battle drills.
Yep.
And in the team, it's really odd because they have the hologram girl Sam.
That
Who
annoyed the
I'm really
hell
liking.
out of me.
I'm really liking her, but it's that silly thing where she's in the tryouts, she's trying out the game for the first time, and she's screaming and she's like, "Oh my God, I hate this. This isn't what I expected." And then she makes the team, and you're like, "We did not see any connecting fabric." Rather than she's one of the main cast, so she has to make the team, and you're like, it would have been better if you'd actually shown her getting better at it, or oh, but what would have been even better is if that stupid Beta Z guy didn't exist in the show, because he really has to make bring some kind of purpose to his character. If he didn't exist, and then she gets onto the team as the mascot,
Yeah.
because the fact that it kind of goes, hey, you're terrible at this, but you make the team because we only have 6 main characters and you have
Out
to
of
be on
all
it.
of the cadets
Yeah.
in Starfleet Academy, and this is because this is what irked me,
That's
because
the annoyance thing where you're like going, that could be better.
But when-
it's fine to have her not on the team, even though she's a character.
but when Thok and Reno are handing out the assignments, they're like, "Oh, congratulations, you made the team because you did these high scores," or your sizes fit the uniforms, and you're like, so basically out of all the entries in this year's academy, these 6 people out of everybody are the best that the academy has got, when we've literally just seen them screaming and dying and running.
Yeah, that's it. It's a contrivance. Like I would much prefer the Betazoid guy just not to exist, for Sam to have become the mascot, which is much better. Where it goes, hey, she can still be there, but obviously she's not very good at playing the sport.
Yeah, but they could have
it's obviously Reno's joke about, oh, because you're picked because the uniform fit. That's just her making a joke. Like that's Reno's character all over.
Yeah.
But then the idea of the mascot should have been directed at Sam, of going, yeah, you've really fucking failed. But and that would have just made it better.
But it could have been a good little minor C plot as well, where it's like she's trying to blend in with biologicals because she is a photonic being, and she's trying to blend in, and she's like, I couldn't even make this, and it could have been her dealing with that rejection that she can't be like them because she didn't make the team, and then her understanding that everyone has flaws and not everyone can, not everyone is good at this, but then they could say, but you are brilliant at doing this, where everyone's got strengths and weaknesses.
There's so many different things that you could do with it, and I do have the feeling they won't. Like, I do have the feeling that they won't be that clever with it. But because what you could have done is you could have had it like the issue we have is we have so many characters. We're just introducing the characters still, and it's taking its time to go, hey, here's a little bit of this character, here's a little bit of this character. And it was great to see that this wasn't an episode just about Caleb. That's exactly what I wanted from it. It's an episode more about Remy and Genesis, which works really well. It has a bit of Caleb in, has a bit of Sam in there.
But it adds depth to Remy as well.
It would have been better to have Sam start the first battle being all panicky and going like, oh my God, what is this? And then in the actual next thing, in the actual tryouts, she's ludicrously good and she's nailing everything. And it's making a commentary on, she's a photonic. She can literally adjust her programming to make herself amazing at anything. The way that the doctor went, I'm going to learn how to sing. I'm going to change my program to learn how to do this. And go down a route of going, oh, she just immediately becomes the best at everything. because she changes herself to do it. But is that really progression? Is she actually learning how to human by doing that, which isn't a human trait? That is a
Yeah.
whole arc that you could go on with this character. But instead, she just makes the team. And then when we see her in a later battle, she's useless again. I'm like, so you just made it because you're one of the main characters, and it's like plot armor.
Yeah,
But
it's plot armor.
yeah,
But she could have been this series Data, where it's a quest to learn about humanity, to learn
yeah.
about biologicals.
And you can cheat, but the whole thing is learning not to because you're trying to fit in. You can't just be like, oh, well, I'll just make myself amazing at everything, which
Yeah.
is, Data learning to gain flaws. Was the
Data
best
learning
thing,
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
Data
never
learning.
quite did it.
And never quite did it, but tried to alter the program so that everyone thought he was funny, and it's like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like the genuine
Right now, Sam is the perfect human. Like,
Yeah.
Sam is really, really well programmed to be a human. Like, she's very quirky, she's very sort of like this. And it does play around the whole, hey, she's not quite fitting in, but I don't know, it might have been better to do it in the kind of the outsider. She's like the opposite of the outsider trope. Like, she's not like Data, she's not like Odo. She's, not like, who is the outsider in? Oh, the outsider in Voyager's bloody Neelix, fuck him.
he's out the airlock. That's how outside he is.
She was 2 years old, Neelix. But hashtag space nonce. But the idea
Release the Neelix files.
Oh,
but
God.
we
that episode, I'm still getting over us having to review
Elogium.
that fucking episode.
Elogium.
Anyway,
it's nearly
don't
been
say it,
a
I'm
year.
getting
It's
PTSD.
it's nearly been a year, and I am still not over that. Like when I do admin for the show, because it was like one of the more recent recordings that we did, because obviously we do a lot of it live. I look at that and it's right there, and I'm like, oh God, everything was awful. Like I had to go seek mental help from the NHS shortly after doing that. I left the country. So that's
I love how you're making it all seem like this was because of Elogium.
It's
where it
like
was
I
actually
reviewed
normal.
Elogium and then I left for a month.
Related.
I quite literally, right? For those that tout the praises of Voyager, good for you. But Elogium made me leave the country and spend a month in the forest.
Yeah.
Literally a month in the forest, okay? I came back hairy but enlightened. And I still get flashbacks.
Then the nightmares return.
Then the nightmares become
Webbed hands. But
doctors giving Kez a foot rub. But it with this episode, Sam, I mean, I really want an episode focusing on Sam. I really do, because she is the outlier. She is the Data. She is the Spock. She is the Neelix of this series, and I want to see her learn more about humanity, learn more about biologicals. It's the same where I really like, out of all the characters, the one I am most interested in is Jaden. I am really interested in the Jaden character. I want to learn more about why he has chosen a pacifist life, why he is, going on about botanicals. If they can continue to do that, like they've done with Raimi's character in this episode, where it's like, oh, he's an arsehole because his parents have essentially molded him to be like, you have to be the best at everything, and if you are not, you are worth nothing to me. That is an awful existence for someone to have. And you look at it through this episode where he's sending the logs, he's sending the diaries and stuff, and they are not responding to him. They are not replying.
And this is the thing, and I think this is where Academy trips up, because I think Academy goes, we need a big flashy A plot, and then the character stuff is secondary.
Yeah.
And the thing is, loads of people will complain with that statement, because loads of people complained with Strange New World, so they're like, oh my God, Spock's having romantic relationships. And you're like, it's kind of all Trek has been like that, like in terms of, maybe not, as bad as Spock in season 3, but the idea of like TNG, where it's the idea of going Riker and Troy and all of this stuff, like, you know, like Odo and Kira and stuff, all these things that like happen in Trek where there's a central plot and the stuff happens outside of it. But this, it seems to trip it up. This early
Yeah.
on, I would have preferred a bigger focus on the characters, because we get a great bit of exposition about what's his name, Raimi and stuff. He is a very inconsistent character, but we get
Yes.
a lot about Remy and Genesis, but not enough at the same time. And the A plot kind of trips them both up by being like, "Well, I don't
The
know.
only thing we know
I don't
about
know what I'm
Genesis.
complaining about."
The only thing we know about Genesis is she's an admiral's daughter. That's it.
But she's an admiral's daughter who has very high expectations of herself and puts a lot of pressure on herself for it. But that she's actually a natural born leader. Like,
Yeah.
whereas Remy is someone who might not actually want to be doing the stuff that they're doing, but feels compelled to do it because his parents will only give him attention and acknowledgement if he is the best at everything. Like,
I
so it had the scene between him and Reno where basically he kind of goes, "Hey, there's a problem with my iPad, my tab, and my
yeah.
pad. There's a problem with my pad. It's not receiving incoming emails." And then she kind of opens up his emails, well, transmissions, opens up his emails, and all it is a list of him sending messages to his mom and dad and getting no replies. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Nope, it's not broken. They're just not replying." And but she kind of goes like, "Well." And the advice she gives is, it's rudely interrupted, which annoys me, but she gives really good advice, which is the idea of going, you kind of get the choice to choose the people that you want acknowledgement from, you know? Like
Yeah.
if your mum and dad are not the ones who are giving you like the respect you deserve or the attention you deserve, you don't need to break your back trying to win them over, you
They're
know?
not
Like it's
worth
the
your
same way as,
time.
yeah, that's it. Not they do not deserve it, I think is what she says. And it's so true. It's like the fact of, you know, you might have friends or you might have like family members where you're going, "Hey, I'm jumping through hoops, I'm doing stuff I don't want to do because I think that this is what you want of me." And then you sit there, you should just sit there and be like, "Actually, I can find better friends." You know, it's like actually, if I have to do all of this to make you love me or make you want to hang out with me or make you not be a dickhead to me, then I'm pretty sure there's better people out there. And it's kind of like the idiom of ixiom, is it? No, oh, finding your own tribe. And I kind of
I
like that, where she just goes, "I think your parents are dickheads, so maybe kind of do what you want to do and find how to enjoy yourself."
I think we may see Remy change divisions.
To the War
I
College.
No, no, not to the War College.
Okay.
Because obviously there's like 4 divisions: the Science, Operations Command, and then Undetermined. I think that obviously he has been what's the word? Not brainwashed, but like conditioned
Yeah.
by his parents to be like, you will be the first. Is it Carrion? Carmarian or something?
Fish person.
Fish person in Starfleet, right? You are the first trout in in Starfleet. That means you will also be the first captain, and you will do this. Where I think we have yet to see the discovery of his passions. Where, you know, he's one of those people where, and I think our generation sort of had this as well as millennials, where when we were younger, and I don't know if you had this, Synoiz, but when I was younger and you're at school and they go, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I was like, I absolutely love motorsport. I want to be in motorsport in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a driver, engineer, or anything like that. And at first they were like, "You're from the north. You're from Middlesbrough, so you're either going into steel or fast food." Right? Literally at year 9, that's
When
what
we
I
say
had.
steal, are we saying going into steal from the fast food place?
Going into steel manufacturing, which lasted all of 10 years and then was decimated. But then what happened was we were conditioned from school to go, you have to go to college because going to college will mean you get a superior education. Then you get to college and then you go, you have to go to university because university is the only way you're going to get a decent job and then you can command a great salary and you can do this. You must do this. And then you do it.
What did we get? Debt and the jobs we could have got without it.
But then you do it and you get there and they go, why are you here when you could have gone and done this? And it's like that revelation of we are told what we should do, so we go and do it. And then when we finally get free will, we realise we could have actually done what we wanted. And this is sort of kind of the reason, like, for the last few months of my life, where it's like a situation happened and instead of going and doing exactly what was expected of me, of everyone, I went, why should I do that? Why should I continue this cycle that does not fulfill me? And then I decided to break it and do what I want. And I think we're going to see, hopefully, I mean, this is just a wild prediction, but I think we're going to see this in Raimi where he comes to the conclusion that he is not suited for command, but we see throughout the season that actually maybe he's really good in medicine, maybe he's really good in the sciences or operations or something like that. And the joy of Starfleet Academy is like, you can do this, but then you can also, if you feel that this is where your strength lies, you can go and do that and be yourself, and it teaches people a valuable lesson.
Yeah, him learning that maybe he's been told he needs to be a captain, but actually he doesn't need to. I think that would be a great arc. So I hope that we get that from him, I think. But but I do hope that there's episodes about the other characters. Like we say, we talked about Sam a lot. Genesis needs a lot of fleshing out. Now, like you said, Jaden is someone I'm really intrigued about because I'm really enjoying Jaden. Like it's really weird as well because he seems to be the one who's got the most stick out of all of the characters and the actors, like from the community. Like everyone's like, oh, I can't believe they've got like a Klingon in a skirt, and you're like, someone didn't watch TNG.
Did we not have scants?
Do they not? Yeah, it's like there's a name for them. They're so Trek that there is a term. They are stupid. They are a really crap costume. But you can't say that they're not Star Trek or that they're trying to make Star Trek.
Do you know what, though? Sorry to interrupt. They are so good, the costumes, I barely noticed because he just suits it. And I will get onto the costumes later on. But you know, again, this is the swinging from contemporary use of languages and everything like that to it's the 33rd century or the 32nd century. Of course he's going to be wearing a scant. Of course that's going to be... Why should it be only for females? Like, what is gender?
That's exactly it. It's so confusing having to explain this whole, like, we've had episodes where we've dissected gender, where we've talked about different races not understanding it. We've had the whole, racism discussed through this. And you're sitting here being like, did no one watch those episodes? Has everyone just not watched Star Trek before in order to get upset about this? Like, it's so annoying that you kind of have it where you get like, oh, people who hate Star Trek and they get lumped into the same camp, and you're sitting there a bit like, or where you kind of like, so I don't like Discovery. I make it very, very clear, but that means I get put on the same pile as these idiots who have never watched any Star Trek aside from maybe Wrath of Khan. And that's it. That's the only Star Trek they've ever watched, and therefore they're going to complain about anything that doesn't measure up to what the only things that are in that film. And you're sort of going, no, we're not the same. I'm trying to do it because of bad writing, because of this, this, and this. You're complaining because you don't like, I don't know, like people. You're doing it because you don't understand Roddenberry's vision, and you actually sort of just don't want gay things. You don't want fucking multiculturalism. You don't want like that. There was a guy, wasn't there, on our Instagram, like saying that we must be communists or something. You're like going, if you've watched Star Trek and you haven't realized that it's a big advert for communism,
it's space communism. It is space communism.
Whoa, what have you been watching? Like, how have you? It's like there is no money. and it's where everyone gets everything given to them, and that they do everything through a meritocracy of going, hey, you want to do this? Cool, here's the facilities to do it. And you're sitting there being like, I don't know what you think communism is, but that's kind of the
I
Marxism, you know?
I will be forever perplexed that people claim to be a Trekkie and also a bigot.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling, if I'm
It's
perfectly
it,
honest.
it gives me a nosebleed. I'm not gonna lie, it gives me a nosebleed. And what I have found myself saying, especially this week, and I have said this on various platforms, I have said it live on camera, and I will say it right now. To those people, please go outside and touch grass, because there are more things in life to worry about, especially right now, than her Trek show that I don't have to watch is airing and I don't like it, but other people like it, so I'm going to make their lives a misery because I have nothing better to do in my life than to be the very antithesis of what Star Trek stands for.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, watch it in order to complain about it. Like
Yes.
the idea of complaining about something that you haven't even seen based upon what you think it is about. Like
Yes.
the people complaining about stuff and being like, "Oh, she's not sitting in a chair properly." I'm like, "That's cool. You haven't watched the episode, but you have wasted a lot of time complaining about it or trying to get everyone else to do it." It's like a religion. It's like, going, "Hey, I believe this, and I've got to make sure that everyone else believes it because then it validates my opinion for me and it gives me a sense of like I fit in with the world." And it's like, cool. So you understand the principles of what Starfleet Academy is talking about. You just don't really recognize that they're for you. But yeah. But anyway, back to the topic. Jaden, I really want to see more of him. I'm really enjoying him as a character. The voice, I think, was it you who sent me a
It
video
was
about his
ADR.
voice?
It was ADR, yeah.
Well, no. What they said is that basically they added a reverb effect on it, but that he did the voice. So there's basically an Instagram clip of him doing the voice like live and demonstrating. I had to learn how to do all of the voices and stuff like that. But then in post they added like an oomph to
Oh,
it.
so it was not ADR, it was actually...
It's his
Oh,
voice.
so it was tweaked
Yeah.
in post, right?
Yeah, so
Okay,
basically they
that's
just
interesting.
went, we're going to add a bit of reverb to it in some
Do we know
scenes,
why?
make it a bit. What?
Do we know why they've done it?
I think they were just. These are people who put fucking robots in the background everywhere. So you're kind of
So,
sitting there being like, they
really-
probably were playing around being like, oh, it needs more oomph. It needs to be more Klingon.
Really interesting, and we'll get to the end because I'm conscious of time. But really interesting. I was speaking to a VFX dude who worked on Enterprise, and a lot of the criticism that the first two episodes had was, and we'll hold our hands up. We also had the same criticisms about the VFX, the amount of robots and lack of polish, shall we say? And he basically said, actually, do you know what? I'm gonna get the what he said up because it's really interesting. Bear with me one more. Where is he? Keep talking because I will find him.
Well, no, you bring that up and we'll talk about it in a bit, okay? But the idea, I quite like Jaden. I kind of want to see more of him. The idea of a pacifist Klingon, but then he still holds up with the Klingon stuff. It's not like he's a Klingon and he throws away all his, values and stuff like that. Instead, it's a Klingon who loves his culture, who has aspects of his culture and whatnot that he respects. Like he talks a lot about honor, he talks a lot about liking blood wine and liking blood pie and stuff. But he doesn't like this thing. And that's good because usually what we get is we get characters where they're like, I reject everything about my culture. And it's like, then why are you a Klingon? Like, why did the writers make you a Klingon if they're gonna, because it's the same as anything. It's like, the fact is, like with gay people in society where people think that it's a totally different thing and a lot of aspects of the life are different, but effectively you're like, nope, it's still doing the same stuff. Like you just don't do this bit. You're not doing the woman bit, or if you're a lesbian, you're not doing the man bit, but everything else is the same. It doesn't mean you reject everything about society and you can't, like, people genuinely go, oh, I can't believe, you don't, you can't like football, you're like a homosexual. And it's like, that's a weird view, Like, I mean,
They
football
have
is a pile of wank, but
they
I
have
do
such a
friends who very
narrow
much like it.
view. that they have such
Well,
a
yeah.
narrow view and things that they go, well, how can you like that? How can you do that? And it's like,
Yeah. So
what?
I like the idea that they've got a Klingon who, they've got a Klingon who likes his blood wine, who likes like blood pie and stuff. He likes, like he doesn't like violence. That's the difference there. But he likes his like other rituals and other Klingon stuff, and I like that. Although they do. This is going to wind up a lot of people, but hey, they haven't even watched the episode and they're hating on it. But it does seem to hint at a possible attraction to that Kyle kid from
Yeah.
the War College. It has a scene set up where they kind of are a bit sort of like the Kyle is willing to give him the time of day, and there's a couple of shots of Jaden being like,
Yeah.
looking at him, and I like that. I think that's cute, but it is, when you're sitting there just being like, are you genuinely trying to piss off, like the dickheads online? Just been the idea of just going, so you've got a Klingon and you have actually made him gay.
So
I don't know. There's a part of me that actually fucking loves that.
I've just had a look at the message. I've just had a look at the message there, and like I said, he was a VFX artist on Enterprise. He worked on season 3. He was actually one of the dudes that blew up the NX-01, so that's good. But he was on about how some of the VFX shots in SFA looked rushed, looked unpolished and stuff like that. And basically he said in a large production with a lot of moving parts, there is what's called a master timeline, the master edit. And what happens is people obviously get sent certain parts. They're the ones that refine it, and then it goes back to the master edit. However, with a lot of moving parts, what happens is when it gets to the crunch time, sometimes some of the parts that have been sent off don't get included into the master timeline. So he used an example of the rock talk that we see in episode 2, which is, it's not a rock talk, but do you know what I mean? It's the thing where he's like, they legitimately used the same asset that was in Prodigy, but this was from an earlier stage in the VFX, because he said the standard polishing and zhuzhing up has not been applied. So he said what you've probably found is that 1 or 2 shots throughout the episode have this because the person in charge of the master timeline didn't check to see if everything was included. And he said the amount of times I have been in screenings for episodes or premieres for episodes and I've heard the word, oh, fuck, from the master editor who's gone, I didn't get that shot. I didn't do that shot. But again, in a large production, there was a lot of moving cogs and you have got a crunch timeline.
The issue is, though, that doesn't it become a prioritization thing? Like, it's the idea of that thing with the rock talk. That is a main character who is walking down the corridor. The camera focuses on them, and then they walk off. So you would go, that needs to be, in terms of project management, that needs to be much higher on the list to be like, okay, this is a definite that needs done. What's the other stuff that doesn't need to be done? Well, the lighting on this bit doesn't need to be perfect. This, this robot in the background here doesn't need to be there. Like, it feels like they could have just not done them. Like, there's so many scenes where you're just like, hey, you should just not put any robots in the background there if you couldn't have done the graphics.
Less dots are definitely needed in this series.
Rather than being like, hey, let's just make loads of things half done, rather than just going, here's the crucial stuff, get that done. Everything else is a nicety if we can get it done, and that's what bothers me about it. But the rock talk, I actually thought looked great. Like neither of us had a complaint about it.
I thought it looked great,
but saying it was bad.
As a VFX artist, he said this was this is very clearly an earlier stage because they haven't done this process, they haven't done this polishing, and it was really interesting to listen to the insights because what I used to do and stuff, it was never at the post stage. It was never ever at the post stage. But to listen and go, because they will have this, this VFX artist doing this. They'll have another one doing this. They'll have this doing this. And there are many. It's not like the 90s Star Trek where it was literally, hey, we've got Doug, we've got foundation imaging, and that's it. They've got literally houses here, houses there, this. Too many moving parts that when it comes to crunch, they're like, well, have we got anything? Well, I don't know, but fuck it, it looks good. Move on. And then
Yeah, and it's crazy to think they
for a
have
show that
far
has a
more
year
special
lead
effects.
time.
Well, they have so many people working in special effects, and what we're saying effectively, like we have with game studios, we're like, hey, look, we've got tons more employees. That makes things worse. That actually makes the quality drop dramatically, and you're like, well, why? That shouldn't be the way it
I
works at all. And then you're like,
I
but it's
genuinely
true.
think
Too many chefs.
I genuinely think in an ideal world, right? And I've seen this a few times in TV shows, but if it's a streaming world, before I think it should be okay, it's not ideal, but they could look at the feedback that they got from a season, and then they'll go, right, before we do a physical release or something like that, we will go back and we will do this polish. We will add this. We will do this. Like Stranger Things did this all the way back in season 4.
That was strange, wasn't it?
Where
they edited previous episodes
and then re-uploaded them because they looked better. But essentially, it's patching the show. And a lot of people said this. So a prime example of this is season 1, episode 10 of Star Trek Picard, where you had what is famously now the copy and paste fleet. The reason they had that was because COVID was about to happen and the VFX were literally completed 7 days before it aired on Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime. So they were really up against the wall. But then what we found is, and what a lot of people said is, but you could go back because there was no like reference to them all being the same ship or anything like that. You could have gone back and went, okay, do you know what? We're going to re-upload. We've had this lead time. We're going to re-upload this final episode, and it's going to have better visuals. It's going to have different ships. It's going to and just to improve
you know
it.
What? I'm gonna disagree with you based upon what we've seen with other stuff, and I think it's as soon as you allow something to be fixed after the initial release, it opens the door to laziness. It opens the door to a lesser quality product, like we saw in the games industry, where you're sitting there and you're going, "Hey, this game that came out onto a cartridge or a CD that can't be patched in any way, shape, or form has less bugs than Cyberpunk," or and we go, "Hey, this game is far more complex than that one," and you're like, "Yes, but it also has 5 times the amount of people working on it." And I think this attitude of, "Oh, we can fix it later," just means that we have, I mean, obviously it's how we approach project management stuff nowadays, where we literally have managers managing managers so that the project can be managed by someone else.
We will fix it in post.
Yeah, but then they're just like, "Oh yeah, we'll patch it later." And I hate this. I genuinely, and I think, yes, if there is a serious problem there, it would be good to fix it before you release. Like, what was it? What we were watching the other day? Welcome to Into the Spider-Verse, the second Spider-Man animated film. Okay, absolutely brilliant. The worst sound I have ever heard in a movie ever. Like,
really?
As in the mixing is awful. Like, as in it's one of those ones where you turn it down because the music's really loud, but then you can't hear the characters, so you turn it up again. And then this scene going here, and the voices are drowned out, and everything feels a bit flat. It's awful. Like,
worse than Section 31.
No, fucking hell, not that bad. But but it's this idea of like, but the fact is, everyone was like going, yeah, it's like that, and people have, like industry professionals that have acknowledged it was a mess up, and it's like, okay, yeah, physical release, try and fix it, and I think they have. I don't know, but it's that I kind of agree with, but it's the problem of, I think that if you allow people to edit Stranger Things or Netflix or like Paramount, like stuff on streaming, it opens the door to just going, "Hey, we can have a shorter crunch period, or we can have more crunch period because, oh, well, we can release the episode and then fix the effects later." It's like, no, you need to try and do it correctly, but understand that accidents can still slip through.
I think
that's my piece on it. How do you feel?
I agree
comment below if you agree or disagree with me.
I agree with you, but at the end of the day, it is purely down to poor project management. Yeah. Because overall, the showrunner should go, right, we sent 6 VFX things to be tidied, to be polished, so they look brilliant. How many have we got back? 3. When's the crunch time? 2 days. Can they get it done within that time? No. Why? And then make a decision.
Okay,
Where,
what do we cut out? Do we get rid of this scene?
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
we do that? Like, that is it's the dealing with it's planning the project decently enough to go, hey, the VFX people have that. Like, yes, if the VFX team are shit, then you kind of go, it's taken you 2 months to put a bloody CGI robot in the background.
But it's insane.
But if it isn't, if it is genuinely like going, oh, you gave them a week to do this like 4-month thing, and it's like, oh well, they can just work harder. It's like, then you have failed at your job.
But it's actually insane when, in the 90s and the early 2000s, when it was 26 episodes, obviously CGI was less sophisticated, but, they were able to do that. And now you've got seasons with 8, 10 episodes with a year's lead time. And even with a year's lead time, there is still these tight crunch deadlines. And essentially Paramount just sit on the master file and don't do anything with it. And you're thinking, right, so you gave them, say, I don't know, I'm not I'm not like saying what the crunch time is. You gave them 2 months, but the release is 8 months down the line.
Yeah.
Okay, but then people will say yes because they had to move on to season 2, and it's like, well, no, because principal photography for season 2 didn't start for a while, but then you've got principal photography for season 2, but then post-production doesn't begin until after the first episode is in the can and then sent. So you've still got a lot of leeway time. It's just it's the studio heads, it's the not the networks, but it's these companies cutting as many costs as they can by saying, well, we could have this VFX house for 2 months, or we can get them to do it all within a month. Yes, let's go and do that. But it's the same as the game studios. It's the same as like polishing, and stuff like that. Oh, this game's been delayed for polishing, but then you get the other ones where they're like, fuck it, we'll just fix it in post.
You get nightmare stuff, because I remember a mate of mine, I'm not going to say what studio he was with or what game it was, but he was with he was on 4 different games, and they genuinely had the whole thing where like the publishing house was just like, hey, you need to send it out. And they're like, but it's not finished. We've got like 300 bugs in the bugs list. Nah. Next week, push it out. And they genuinely did not care that it had mistakes in. They were just pushing it out there because they're like, no, we need to make money on this, rather than focusing on making a good product. And I don't think I'd mind Starfleet Academy coming out a month later because we needed to give the VFX people more time.
Considering
but I'm pretty sure it's going to be money controlling everything and going, oh, well, then we would have missed this market, or then we would have had to redo this. And it's like, yes, but make it good.
I know we've digressed a little bit, but I will say this. This is what happens when Suits run artistic projects and don't get it. Same in the game industry, same in the TV and the movie industry. Also, this is quite literally the only Star Trek project this year in the 60th anniversary. You don't have to burn all of your fuel in January to do it. You could have had this in February, March, April. There was plenty of time to burn it out in January, because you go, oh, well, it's the lull and we need something to fill it, so let's just knock it out. You don't need to do that.
We've talked a lot about the effects, and we've complained about a lot of the effects in episodes 1 and 2, but episode 3, I don't think they're very bad. I think the effects in this episode are actually good. I would say I didn't notice any problems with the effects in this. Ironically, considering we just gone off on a big tangent about it.
I know, yeah.
Everything looked good in this episode. The plants at the end looked good. The teleportation and stuff looked good. It was like, I actually liked it. But I think the thing I liked most about this episode was the fact that it didn't try anything dramatic. It didn't try to have an action scene. Like, yes, it kind of had the battle and stuff, and it was like, explosions and stuff, but it wasn't like a space battle. It wasn't like this, that, and the other.
There was no space.
Yeah,
at all.
I liked it. I really liked the sort of, that this was like, hey, they're in a college. Yes, it's tropey as all hell, but overall, despite all the things I've complained about over this episode so far, it's the fact of going, it was an enjoyable romp.
It
That's how I
was.
would put it down.
I
And it was great learning more about these characters. And even though I think Raimi is a very confusing character, because it's like he's a dickhead, but he's not sometimes. And I kind of like that because that's what teenagers are like. But at the same time, I don't think it's handled as well as it could be.
It was a delightful romp full of shenanigans, and I think the problem is the message was mixed and it batted around a lot, so it wasn't as clear as it should have been. So I agree with you. I like the episode. I am looking forward to next week. We are going to continue to review this episode by episode. Because that was if it wasn't that bad, we were going to do that, and we were going to not get drunk. I'm having water. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Do you have any other notes for this episode?
I think the thing that one thing, there's two main notes I have about this episode. One of them will piss people off, but the main one is that the main plot of this episode is the rival college, the War College, and basically Aki is saying, "Hey, because they basically they play a prank on Starfleet Academy where they somehow hack the transporter system in order to teleport the students out of the changing rooms into random places around the building, which is and the problem is I made a note of that's bullshit. Like, what kind of terrible security do you have if
Yeah.
someone can just get access to the teleport? Because with teleporters, you can just kill someone. Like,
Yeah.
if you can, like it's that idea of going like you would have the strongest safeguards possible in order to make sure that no one could just randomly hack or get access to it, especially not from someone outside of the academy. But then later on, it kind of goes like, oh, this TV screen gets hacked, and the footage of the the training game that they have, where everyone's screaming and panicking, that gets shown on the big screen to everyone in the college to kind of go, hey, look how crap and like squeamish like Academy is. And then when Aki goes and meets the chancellor from the War College, she's like, there's no way they could have got that footage. The only way they could have got that footage is with an instructor's permission.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Yep, I helped them because we're proving that we're better than you, and you've got to be like better than that." So it kind of goes, "Oh, so he must have given them the transporter codes, or like stuff like that." So it kind of answers its question in that way. But I did make a note to start with of going, if that isn't explained, I will be furious. Like, because yeah, you could just straight up kill someone if you just had access
Just
to the
beam them into
transporter.
space.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you'd have to have a prank that was planned so well that you go, oh yeah, we'll teleport them randomly around, but not into a wall.
Yeah.
It's like, and that seems a bit less than believable. But uh, the other thing is that Aki's actual plan is to say to them like, hey, don't do any of this. What we're going to do, rather than getting back at them, we're going to show that we are better at science than they are. And we're going to grow these plants. They're these ultra rare plants. We're going to grow them. Uh, and to do so requires this like sort of patience, and it requires sort of love and stuff like that. And we're going to show that we're better than them because they won't be able to do it. And that's her plan. And everyone's like, no, we need to go and punch them in the face. Like, we need to actually fight them on their own grounds and stuff. And she's like, no, 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 you don't. And everyone's fighting her against it, being like, hey, stop being like this. We need to actually rise up and prank them back. And she keeps this stance, and she's the Jem'Hadar, Lurathok is like arguing with her like, hey, we need to have a strong position and show them that we're not to be messed with. She keeps this position, and everyone rebels against her and goes, no, actually, we are going to go against them, we are going to prank them. And then the big twist is at the end of the episode that they do this big prank directly against Aki's orders. And then it turns out to be exactly what she intended the whole time, and that she's been double bluffing them. That she's been like, yeah, I totally did want you to prank them, and I set all the stuff there because
Planted
I
the
can't
seed.
tell you to do that.
Yeah.
She planted the seed. And it's kind of cool, but it could have been addressed better. Like
Yeah.
the idea of because the problem is it's like she's rewarding them for disobeying her. Like everything about Aki suggests that you would just ignore everything she says because she
Yeah.
doesn't command respect. She's such a soft touch and she gets a bit shouty, but then she's nice. It's like that thing. She's like the aunt or whatever who gives you everything or whatever people have, like, and it's a bad look, even though behind the scenes she's actually kind of controlling everything. And the fact is, I would have much preferred it because what happens is Aki tells them off and she gives them a conversation where she drops loads of hints of going, hey, that guy's got a weird eye and you should show some growth and whatnot. And she
Yeah.
drops all these hints while telling them off. And then afterwards, Genesis goes, actually, yeah, fuck her. We're not gonna take any punishment. I know we've been grounded, but let's prank them anyway. But then it turns out that that's actually what you wanted. What it would have been much better is having that conversation with Aki, getting dressed down, and then them going, oh, well, we're in trouble. And then Genesis going off and going, well, we can't beat these people and stuff like that. I'll look into the because when they do the transporter thing, they go, hey, that's not even original. That was done years ago. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the most famous pranks in Starfleet history, the teleporter thing that happened like 400 odd years ago. And then Genesis should look into that and then be like, oh, wait a minute, one of the people that did this was Chancellor Aki. Oh, she's trying to drop hints that we should be pranking them. And
Yeah.
then she thinks about the things she said, and then she's like, oh, that's why she gave us the plants. Oh, and it does it that way. That having that extra scene with Genesis looking into it and realizing that it's what Aki intended all along,
Yeah.
rather than them just doing stuff, breaking the rules, then afterwards it was like, well done. I know I punished you last episode for breaking the rules, but this one I intended it. It's like fucking Dumbledore from fucking Harry Potter, where you're like, what kind of teacher are you? You're like, hey, you got people killed. That's exactly what I wanted. It's like, yeah, you
It's
seem
just a
wildly inconsistent as a leader.
it's very difficult to like grasp that they came up, that they came up with exactly the type of plan that she wanted them to come up with.
Without acknowledging
Yeah.
that they got the ideas from her, but
Yeah.
maybe didn't realize that it was intentional. But I would have much preferred the idea of it being a revelation that she was the one who pulled the famous prank that was
The
foreshadowed
queen
earlier
of
in the
pranks of
episode.
Starfleet and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and they're like,
Yeah, yeah.
hang on, like, or even just someone going, hang on, you're telling us not to prank. You were the queen of pranks, or something like that. Like, one of the other members of staff, like, Laura Fox saying it.
Yeah.
That would have been better, But although the execution of the prank is the most bullshit thing in the entire world, because it's like going, hey, we've got characters and they need to do something, so we'll just make the, it's like going, what was I watching the other day? I was watching something that literally has like, hey, this character needs to do something in this, so they're just going to open the door. And it's like, you brought them along to do that. Like, you could get a doorstop, like it was so, it's like the
Justified
Ocean
salary.
11's thing where it just goes
Yeah.
like, hello, that person is here but to do nothing because they're in the film.
It's a justified salary moment that we see a lot in older Star Trek, but with this,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so Remy hugged the guy and got the DNA sample, and that
Which
had
is-
to be.
And you're sitting there being like, I think that's maybe a really punishable offense that they
Yeah.
literally like. There is a conversation to be had about that.
They
because
cloned an
Remy,
eye.
yeah, Remy hugs the Chancellor, which is very touchy, not quite sure what messaging we're giving here. Collects his DNA onto a pad, gives it to Jaden. Jaden grows a replica of his eye in the
Yeah.
lab in order to fool the eye scanner, in order to get into his office. What does he do in the office?
Oh God,
He gets into the office, but I don't actually know what he does.
What does he do in the office? He does. Is it?
Teleporters?
Isn't it
They
something?
teleport the hologram girl in order to
it's
spray things.
it's to basically allow it to bypass the security, disable the security guards to allow Sam to teleport in to spray the Vitus Reflux growing agent into each dorm.
And even that, you're like, she's best suited for that because she's a hologram and she can teleport around. And I'm like, yes, but it's not going to take that much longer just to kind of walk between like 10 doors and spray the thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, she sprays a growth agent into the rooms that the other college are growing the plants in, and then the plants grow to a humongous size in a couple of seconds, which calling bullshit. Um, yeah, they grow to a big size, and then everyone like yeah, and then everyone gets attacked by the plants, and it's crazy, and then yeah, it's I like the when you like the end bit where you're just like I like how we got there of hey Aki planted the seed of going hey we're gonna get them to grow these plants
Yeah.
because we can do horrible pranks on them if we know that these plants are in their dorms because
Yeah.
these plants are a protected species so you can't just get rid of them.
Yeah.
It'll be like a week-long thing in order to sort out this and it'll be like everyone's messed up for ages and we're doing this on the dawn of an inspection coming to their college. That is genius. I absolutely fucking love that. But the whole like we teleported in a couple of seconds before and sprayed something and it made them massive and we needed the hologram girl to do that because another
But if
person couldn't. And then they get a teleporter to teleport away from the campus and you're like just run down the stairs. It's literally there. Like
but
it's
if she
all
could
of it just
teleport, if she could teleport there, why couldn't she just teleport into the office? If she can make herself permeable, why couldn't she
yeah.
just walk through the door and disable the security? Like, do you see what I mean? Like why does Caleb need to dress as a Mugatu mascot to go and do this? Oh, because he needs something to do. Because then he needs to face his love interest.
That's the thing. It's like this happens because that character needs to be involved. This happens because we need these two to bump into each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's not. And the problem is, there's no problem with those two bumping into each other because that's a great scene where they're talking about her expectations are she's a beta Z, she needs to control her emotions and she needs to sort of like and she needs the discipline that the War College will give her and that's why she chose that rather than the more airy fairy Starfleet Academy which will basically go hey let your freak flag fly and she's just like I've killed people mentally like it's that kind of thing of going maybe we shouldn't have told her to let her guard down
Yeah.
which is essentially what she's doing and that's cool that scene happened but it was so ham-fisted getting there of going he dresses up as a mascot and you're like and we're genuinely fooled but we have no biosensors we have no sort of like the com badge seems to do everything for everything else where it's like
Yeah.
you can't sign up for something unless you use your com badge but the doors it doesn't matter if you don't come here you can just get through the doors fine like it's that inconsistency of technology that we're seeing a lot throughout this where it has wonderful things where it's like I'm glad you set that up that was a good pay like a big setup and release and payoff but that other thing is like yeah we need it to happen for the plot so yeah but anyway, that was a big note about that. The final thing is the amount of nudity. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm enjoying it. Like, because they have a very easy to look at male cast, and they are unashamed about showing them off. Like, basically, where every single scene they have a reason for them to be either bare armed or topless or stuff like that. Uh, it's nice, but it does seem a bit like when it's a bit like this is less than plausible. This
It's a
it's like,
it's a teen drama trope.
yeah, it is. It's the whole idea of going like, oh look, oh he's taking his top off for some reason.
And the thing
You know.
is, the thing is, right, it's a teen drama trope, and that would be fine if this was a generation where teen dramas still existed. But the teen dramas died out nearly 20 years ago. So those tropes that, the 90210, the OC, the One Tree Hill,
Yeah.
nearly 20 years ago, guys. And if you are trying to like bring that aspect in, it's not going to age well. And I can probably only assume that some of the people on this show cut their teeth on those types of shows back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, and that's fine. But is it needed? Are you deliberately just ham-fisting a 20-year-old trope into this to make it more visually pleasing for the audience, but to also be relatable and go, ooh, hot guy, blah, blah, blah?
Well, you know
Is
what,
it
though?
needed?
Actually, I never thought I'd ever say this because obviously, like, I despise heterosexuals. I tolerate you barely, but it's. I'm just trying to piss off haters. But...
Please say I tolerate you barely. Right.
Yeah.
I tolerate you bare naked. So just so I can frame that in my toilet.
with like a nice serif font. But
I want it crocheted.
Oh God, I don't have time for that. We'll do it. We'll get Etsy
we'll fix it in post.
Someone on Etsy to
we'll get AI on it.
Yeah. But it's this idea of like this idea of like I enjoy it, but I do think it was very one-sided. It was very much like all the men, and that's fine for gays, that's fine for like women who are into that, but it is this idea of going, we're not really getting any desirable women in this one at all. Like we've got like Genesis, who's kind of cute, but she has like makeup and stuff, and I'm kind of interested in that, of going like like, because it's always a trope of Star Trek, like whether we agree with Burnham or not. Burnham.
Rick Berman. My God.
Why am I terrible at
It's like Birmingham, it's like Birmingham, but more civilized.
But it is that kind of trope of basically going, hey, look at all the yeomans and Uhura in the original series and stuff, and like, oh, look at Troy and Candleslag in Next Generation, and look at sort of like Jadzia and stuff. Like, it's a Star Trek thing, and whether this is made by people who are like, oh, but we can't have, that kind of thing in here. I'm just like, look, if we're gonna, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if we're gonna have like sexy men who are always topless for some other reason, then can't we have some like women for the other people to like sort of enjoy, like, because Seven of Nine, whatever we say, she got a lot of people into Star Trek, and a lot of people who got more out of it than what they were expecting because of that. I'm not trying to be like sexist or sort of like
absolutely,
but I think it's a trope.
I absolutely refuse to add any comment to this topic whatsoever, because I like doing this show. And I really do not want to spend the rest of my career on GB News. So,
oh God. Okay, my next couple of points. Okay, just need to bang some out. It mentions 4 a.m. That can fuck off. It is 400 hours. It is 0400
0400.
When did they bring back AM and PM to Star Trek? They didn't.
It's militaristic time, so it should be 0400.
They've never had 4 a.m. Like, maybe it's because it's on Earth or something like that, but it is pretty standard.
It's militaristic time. Yeah.
Star Trek does not have AM and PM. It's 24-hour clock. The final thing I'm going to mention, I hate the music. I hate the music. It's the opening theme tune where it's got that in the opening segment.
It's season 1 Picard, I think.
Yeah, it's that thing of so nonchalant and so sort of empty and hollow, and you just like, make me feel something, and instead it's like this very subtle, not wanting to be offensive, and in the second half of it, it kind of rises into this, oh, this could be a Star Trek theme, but it's massively dulled down.
It's forgettable.
Yeah, and you're just going, bring back Star Trek themes. I know we disagree, but Enterprise can fuck off. But the idea of like DS9, Voyager, and then Discovery didn't really have a theme that I can remember. Picard didn't really have a theme that I can remember. This is
Strange New Worlds
does
slaps, and this is the same composer. It's Jeff Russo.
Yeah.
So
why did they go for this? It's like, hey, this is a show about soft things, and it's a gentle show.
Even Discovery's theme was
no, it's not.
Even Discovery's theme, sort of like, hey, this is, it was a unique theme. It was like, if you listen to it, you go, that's Discovery's theme. Strange New Worlds is the same. Lower Decks is the same. Prodigy is like, absolutely slaps.
It's
but then you
really
get
Star Trek.
But you get this one, and then the very first contrast I made was even the visuals. I was like, this is season 1 Picard, and the problem with that is it's very forgettable. And
It's very airy-fairy. It's
airy-fairy, and when you're trying to attract a certain demographic as well, you need some oomph. But then a lot of it's like, but we can't have oomph. We can't have this. We can't have orchestra because they don't relate to it. We can't have rock because it's 1,000 years into the future. We can't have Russell Watson because he's bad from America. We can't, like, we can't
But
do...
that's why it's always gone with classical and militaristic things.
Yes.
Like that idea of big brass bands and all of this, like, you know, like this big sort of dramatic sort of thing. That's what Star Trek themes should be, not very gentle sort of
A
like
Jerry Goldsmith-esque theme song where it's got a full Philharmonic orchestra, you know, the massive French horns, and the instrument, like we had in DS9, like we had in, you know, bring that back. If this is the, you know, if this is the revitalization of Starfleet, then bring back the very things that people recognize.
The theme, like the thing is, the theme song, I can get, it feels like it was done before the show was made, before the composer had seen what the show was like.
Yes.
Like, because it's exactly what I would do. Like, thematically, the theme is like going, hey, you're doing a show about school. You know, you're doing a show about a school and people learning new things and growing
coming
into
of
themselves.
age, blossoming.
Oh, and then the visual people are like, oh, so you mean like a flower where we can have a plant doing this, and the theme can be really subtle and then slowly build over time. And you're just like, yes, that's... If all you got was the back of the DVD case describing what the show is, I can understand how you could make these visuals and that's music. But if you see the actual episode and the actual what is going on, this does not fit at all. And it's, and it feels like that. It feels like they made the theme before they'd finished the show.
Yeah.
And I know that's how it happens usually, but they just hadn't directed what they wanted. And throughout the episode, the music is awful. Like, it's got this awful kind of like 90s hip hop kind of thing that keeps appearing. It's really jarring because you're just sitting there being like, there is no way that this would exist in the time this is set. And I don't know why you've chosen this. If you're going to have modern music, if you're going to have like, hey, we're not going to try and make sort of futuristic or timeless music. We're just going to pick a century and go, let's make it sound like this, you know. It's like putting garage in it or something.
It sounds like someone's gone, what would music sound like in 1,000 years' time? And then they've just mishmashed various genres. I
don't even think it does. Like, I don't even think it sounds like, you know, like in Section 31, it was terrible, but they at least tried to kind of go, maybe music sounds like this in the future.
No idea. I blanked that movie out.
It's awful, but you're kind of like, okay, well, you tried to kind of go, hey, maybe... You know, at least it's not bloody jizz from Star Wars.
FYI, sets from Section 31 are used for the War College. Kelrex quarters.
If ever there was another reason to hate it.
Kelrex quarters are from Section 31. The hallway outside of it is also from Section 31. And when I picked myself up.
At least they're getting some use out of it.
When I picked myself up from the fetal position, I was like, okay, I can get over this trauma and move on. Do you have any other notes?
I still want to just dunk on the music a bit more, but no, I'll leave it. I'll give it up.
We aimed to have an hour for this review. We've
succeeded.
It's 1 hour and 48 minutes.
And
with one tangent.
Are you sure it's not 2 hours?
It's not 2 hours. It's 1 hour and 48 minutes.
We can go longer. I'll get my other notes. Okay. Talaxian furfly is attempting.
I love Stephen Colbert saying Talaxian furfly is mating with a beaker.
Please intervene. Now, the thing is, it's like, it's really odd because, like, I'm mixed about this, okay? Because I love that the Stephen Colbert is like you said it was the dean when we were talking privately.
It's the computer dean. Yeah.
But it's just a bit weird, like, because the computer has too much personality, I think. Like
Yeah.
it feels like it should be the traditional sort of like robotic computer saying things.
Yeah.
Instead, it's not. It's this kind of sassy Stephen Colbert Dean. And it was kind of like I kind of preferred the idea of going, hey, you've got this sassy Dean like that, but then when it's using his voice in other things, like as general ship kind of things, like when they're playing the game and he's the guy narrating what players have scored points and stuff like that. I don't know, it felt weird. It felt like the idea of going, would you have a sassy thing for everything? I don't know, it
If
feels
they
like for standard ship processes, you would have like the standard Trek voice or something, or like a robotic voice going, hey, please enter your command. Oh, this guy scored a point, blah, blah, blah. And then you'd use the sassy one for like announcements or sort of things.
like
I don't know.
the Athena's AI Dean is
Yeah.
sentient. You know, like they could even be inspired by Discovery's Calypso,
Hmm.
which is the
Yeah.
name of the AI. I think
Yeah.
is it the AI? I can't remember. But yeah, it's again,
It's a personal preference. I like the idea
yeah.
of this, but it's weird that you would have that as your standard computer. But
If you're gonna have a sentient, if you're gonna have a computer being sassy, keep it consistent.
if you're gonna have a sentient computer, don't make him narrate random shit. You know, like I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird. Like when I talk to like the AI, when I have to like work on stuff through it, it's the idea of when I talk to it, I'm always really asking it how its day's going and stuff, and like what it's up to and things. Keep forgetting the idea of going. It's just a thing.
I'm
It's not a,
driving the
hey,
price of RAM.
yeah, that's it. I'm just like, hey, I'm just wasting all that money. But it's if that's how you sum up AI, I think, you know. But it is a weird thing though. But it's me just being like, yeah. So I kind of, yeah, I guess to be fair, it could be everywhere all at once, and it wouldn't really be affecting it. But anyway, okay, I will shut up now. But there's basically we could talk a lot more about everything in this episode. Like we even get like hints of Raimi talking about like sexual escapades and stuff. And obviously later on it turns out that he lied about it in order to seem tough. But it's like it's weird. Yeah. But yeah.
It's that classic athletic douche in high school and college, isn't it? But I'm glad that we're starting to see a little bit more depth. But
I'm glad that we got an episode that was focusing on different characters. That was the make or breaker for me in this series was after two episodes focusing on Caleb. If
yeah,
there was a third one, and that if every episode made him the new Michael Burnham, I would have stopped watching, I feel. Like, you know, it's the fact of we got an episode focusing on Raimi and like Raimi and Genesis with a
yeah.
lot of Aki thrown in there. I like that. And I'm hoping the next episode it can be Sam, then maybe next episode it can be Jaden and then Genesis. That's what we want, you know,
My
from a
biggest
Star Trek
fear,
show.
my biggest fear of this show is, ooh, it's giving me the shivers just thinking about it. The Athena is in danger, and only Discovery can help. If
What
that
can you
happens,
imagine?
if that episode happens, if it's on episode 10 when we're going to have a guest on the show,
Yeah.
if it is episode 10, I know he's going to be on the show. I will drink. Because that is a trope that I have seen so many times, and I don't want.
Who is he in this regard?
It is the
'Cause I know
Shed.
Tilly's due for one episode.
It's the Shed. The Shed himself.
Yeah.
He's in episode 10 of Starfleet Academy. So the
But
Shed.
he's not tied to Discovery though.
No, he's not tied to Discovery. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, the trope is at the moment. We saw this in Lower Decks. We saw this in Picard, where it's like, oh, the hero needs to save the day, and it's Captain Riker. And if I see a spinny saucer with someone crying in the captain's chair, I will have the biggest rage piss I have ever had. And
Rage piss.
I will have a biggest rage pit. I might not even go to the toilet. I will immediately buy all the beer and the porn star martinis, and I will crack open, and I will just. I really hope they don't.
Well,
and I'm
you know what though?
I'm kind of leaning to it.
I'm going to say this, and I can't believe I say this. I would be fine with Discovery turning up as long as it was without Michael Burnham, because at least then we might get some development on the other characters. If we had Discovery turn up with Tilly as the captain of it or something, and just being like, "Hey, look, Tilly gets to talk for a bit. Isn't this wonderful?" It's like season one, for like an episode. You know, I would enjoy that because that's the problem. The problem isn't Discovery. The problem isn't the whole show of Discovery. It's the fact that it's this character that everything focuses on and then sucks the life and everything out of every situation. And
Yeah,
we know that she's not going to appear, which is brilliant.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so I would be fine with that turning up, but also at the same time, it's like, there's so many places this show can go, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching it. Yes, it's probably a 6 or 7 out of 10, but that's stay. It's still Star
It's a
Trek,
first
and we're
season.
still watching it.
Yeah, it's the first season. The one final thing I will say is this is a limited run because Starfleet Academy is 3 years. If you're in Starfleet Academy, it is 3 years. So if this goes 5, they need to do something different. They have to do something. I don't know. I think if we get 3 seasons of this, I would be happy with that.
I have a feeling that we're only going to get 2. I have a feeling that basically the reason why, because the problem is that they shouldn't be doing season 2 at the moment. They should be, because we realize that any criticisms we have, any problems that we have with season 1 of this will
Yeah,
not be addressed
yeah.
because they don't know them because they've already written and filming it. And the only sensible reason I can think of doing that is because they have a definite arc and they need to make sure that that arc happens, so they're guaranteeing it. So I'm pretty sure that there's only going to be 2 seasons. We're not even going to get like a third. We'll probably have some things left over in case they get greenlit, but I don't think they're expecting it. And it probably isn't, like we're enjoying it, we're doing it, but there's so many people that aren't watching it complaining, being a very vocal majority, I think.
I think logically for me, this will end with graduation.
Okay, yeah.
As we predicted with Strange New Worlds, that will end with Kirk taking command of the Enterprise and the introduction of McCoy, blah, 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 which we've already predicted. I love being right. So I think with Starfleet Academy, it's going to be a graduation. And if that's the case, it's 3 seasons.
Yeah.
No more than 3 seasons. But what do you guys think? Please, 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 please leave us a comment below because as we have seen last week, the algorithm loves it when people leave comments
Really
below.
do. Even if they're nasty. So if you've somehow gotten this far and you hated Starfleet Academy, please leave a comment telling us how much you hate it because it really helps
why?
us. But yeah, that's it. But this is the problem. In the last video, there were people posting like, sort of, oh, it's absolutely awful. And then I was like going, what are your specific concerns? Like, what did he specifically not like? And then no reply. And I'm just like, no, keep the conversation going. Please tell me. Like, I have, for the fact that I've said that I enjoyed this episode, I have criticized it fuck tons. But that's the joy of things. That's the joy of discussion. It's the fact of going, but I still enjoyed it, even though it failed this and it did this and this and this. So the fact is, we can discuss it in the comments. We can discuss it on Instagram and all of the social media and whatnot. Like, what would you prefer that this show does? And if all you can say is, oh, I think it shouldn't exist, then you need a better imagination if you're going to be into sci-fi. It's
Leave us a comment down below. If you do like what we do, please consider clicking that like button. If you're not a subscriber, it's look down.
It's there.
That's my like button.
Oh my word.
Oh my.
Smaller than I expected, if I'm honest.
Well, the thumb's down as well. Please give
Thumb
us
it down, it'll get bigger.
thumb it in. Please. I'm so sorry,
Phrases
mother.
I didn't expect to hear on an episode.
I'm so sorry, mother.
Thumb it in.
Please give us a like. If you're not subscribed to Trekkin Up North, please subscribe because honestly, we are on the road to 500, and we are doing well, and we want to do a massive big push. If you like this, we've got loads of other videos for you to join in. We've also got our wonderful, wonderful friends. All their YouTube channels are down below. Clone Star, Trek Recommendations, Trek Culture, you name it, they're all down there. We also have a wonderful Discord as well, which you can join in on the conversation and give us your opinions on Star Trek on there. But please leave a comment. If you're watching this at the time of airing and you're in the chat, please leave us a comment, because you have no idea how much that helps us get out to the world. So please, we implore you to do that. We have a busy weekend ahead of us. We have got the Nerdy Up North charity quiz. So if you are in the northeast of England, please come across to Geek Retreat on the 24th of January at 5 p.m. We would love to see you there. Many delicious prizes and much delicious food as well. But without further ado, I have been Captain Goodwill. He has been Science Officer Synoiz.
Commander Synoiz, because some
You're getting a demotion.
Some twat from shit in New Zealand hasn't demoted me yet.
You're getting a demotion. It's just when I can be asked to remove the pips off your cold, dead hands.
Send them to Harry Kim. I want him to know it was me.
I have been Captain Goodwill. He's been Science Officer Synoiz. This has been Trekking Up North. Join us next week as we review episode 4 of Starfleet Academy. But until then, my lovelies, stay safe, look after each other, live long and prosper, or long legs and perspex, whatever you want to call it. And as ever, Niles?
Miles?
I said Niles.
Your sorbet sucks. Now get out.
I said Niles. You can't have
Niles?
blood wine
Niles?
with Gach.
Dad?